Hi everyone, Chris here, GM for Gunn for Hire. I'm usually loath to break the fourth wall, so to speak, on our shows, but I want to put a quick heads up for this episode. Without spoiling anything, there's a combat coming up, and as a gaming group that records for an audience, we committed one of the sins you probably shouldn't for such a thing. We neglected, a lot in this episode, to verbally say the various die results rolled, as well as initiative order. I just want to apologize for that and also hope that it doesn't make things too confusing. Well, as always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the Chicago streets.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North America, or wherever you may find yourself. I'm Silver Sterling, and are you ready for a mystery? Hexaco Motor Oils presents the Hexaco Mystery Radio Hour, sponsored by Hexaco. Tonight, we bring you tales from the gritty streets of Chicago with Gunn for Hire.
Everyone knows the phrase, the things that go bump in the night. And for our trio, there's going to be more than a few of these things seeking them out on this cold December night. And because trouble finds them like flies to a fresh cow pie, there's likely going to be a lot of bumping going on.
As powerful as the lightning strike of a camera flash can be to part the thunderclouds of lies and deceit, sometimes it doesn't need to be as metaphorical as those generic dime novel stories. Instead, it can be as straightforward and purposefully discreet as those dime novel stories that lay out the truth like a three-course meal. I consider myself a chef when it comes to handling myself and my camera in a fight. A couple tips of advice: stick to what you are good at when serving up a dish. I know that I'm a lousy shot when it comes to the bean shooter, but there is something I'm a good shot with. Too much of one flavor? The opponent adapts, your ploy foiled, and more often than not, you end up with a bloody lip. Finally, apply that personal touch, something that lets them know that if they ever come back, they're going to receive that personal attention to their dish each and every time. The appetizer, reaching into the bag. For most, first thought is whether it's a gun. No doubt they'll try to close the distance as quick as possible. I know I would. This just whets their appetite. The main course. Now that they've gotten close, there's no time to react. Especially for those that have no clue. What would you do if you found a camera in your face? Most hesitate. Most are too confused, and that puts that hitch in them. Just enough time to snap a flash in their confused face and leave them blinded. The dessert. It's, in fact, doubly sweet. Of course I can turn it into a sock of the jaw or a slam to the ground, but the bigger score in my eyes, the picture I get. There's no one better at taking photos in the middle of a crisis than myself. I'd stake my reputation on it. And those photos, those are the ones that keep me fed. Bon appetit.
Irving.
That's me.
So you leave the meeting And where are you headed to?
That's a good question. I was just as you said, as we ended this, I was like, oh, I don't know where Irving's going after this. I really need to think about this.
You know what? I'm gonna force you to go somewhere.
I will take that.
You leave, and after your conversation with Emmett and Della, you start kind of feeling you start feeling a little bit of regret as I play the card in regards to just how everything ended up with Mumfrey, and not necessarily regret like, oh, I should have done something more, because at the time that was just the decision you made, but just a little bit of regret about how that situation came about, and just that maybe you could have done more for him to help him, even though you didn't necessarily even know he was there. So your mind kind of starts, going to war with itself.
It's one of those things, yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. And you end up wandering, kind of making your way throughout Chicago. And make me a notice check.
Come on, leveled up notice.
There we go.
Boom.
You don't notice this until maybe about like an hour and a half into your various wanderings, that you get the definite sensation that you're being followed. You can't tell where it is because there's still people lining the streets and cars going by, but you just get this unease sensation, and you realize that once again you've gotten lost in your thoughts, and time has passed, and you're not really even sure where you are exactly at first when that feeling starts to grip you. Then you stop and you kind of take a look around, and you're in the general vicinity of kind of where all of this went down.
Okay.
Where you had chased down the killer, that apartment building that you just were at a couple days ago, where the cop was and everything, that all the circumstances that you just gone through with everything. And that's kind of where you find yourself.
Okay. Irving's being followed. He's been followed before. I mean, he's taken photos and people, want those photos back enough. So to him, he's probably thinking, oh, it must have been that celebrity that I took a picture of earlier. The one that gave him the uneasy feeling. And so he immediately thinks, well, if I turn down this alley here, there's no one there, and I just step around the corner and then step back out and catch him, I'll see who's following me. Irving really, after the war, he's not really afraid that much of what other people can do. Now, other things come into play when it's not people, but to him it's just a person following him, so he's just going to confront them instead. That seems to be the logical course of action. It's worked for him before. So he takes the next alley, which is probably coincidentally happens to be one of the first alleys he was chasing the creature down, and he's going to walk to the end of it and turn, wait about 10 seconds, then step back out to see who's in the alley who was following him.
Make me a stealth check as you do this.
That's a 3. I wasn't too stealthy. I've rolled a lot of 3s lately.
So you zip around, you find a reasonable place to hide, and just kind of wait. And while you're waiting, a little breeze kind of picks up. It does what the wind sometimes does, and it goes up and around and goes down through your shirt and just kind of rips the heat right off the top layer of your body and sends this chill back up your spine. But you're still counting, and you go and you turn at that 10-second mark and give me a notice check.
Come on, D8, you don't fail me now. Ah, thank you.
Oh, damn. It didn't fail you at all.
That cold breeze just woke him up, and he's thinking about it, and he's like, and all that nervousness over the past few days, he's like, I'm going to catch it, and it's going to be over with. I don't have to worry about this anymore. And he steps out, and he's ready.
Nice. So you got...
the 27.
27, jeez. So you step out, and you even decide to kick in a little bit of that military training, and you crouch low, and you just almost to look and just like be ready. And across the street from you, hiding in a shadow, hidden by like a mailbox and a stoop railing, concrete railing, there is this crouched figure, and it's human looking, but its arms and shoulders and stuff are bent in such a way that just make it look like it's really being kind of stretched in kind of a goofy situation. It's crouched as well, and its head flicks up and looks at you, and these piercing yellow eyes just stare directly back at you, and you make eye contact with this thing. It sees you, you see it. Its mouth slowly opens, and you hear across the street, because a car kind of goes by, and you hear the sound from across the street, this hiss as its mouth opens, and you see these fangs with some spit and drool dripping off them, and then it just backs into the shadow from which it's hiding. And you may also make me a fear check, which would be spirit.
Spirit, all right. 6.
All right. It unnerves you, but you're able to keep your cool as you watch it go out of sight.
So when it backs into the shadows, is that like the alleyway shadows or back onto the street?
No, it was actually on a street. It was near the alley, but not quite there. But it's like hiding in. It's one of those situations where, like, you've got the concrete stoop, and then there's like that little descending way that goes down into like a basement kind of thing on the outside, like an outside entrance to a basement kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And so you kind of ducked in there.
Yeah, it looked like it sunk back into there. And there was like a mailbox too that was in kind of helping to complete its hiding place.
So first thing Irving does is pull out his camera. Second thing Irving does is start hobbling towards it as he gets the camera in position, make sure the flash is on. His intent is to flash the hiding spot and take a picture.
All right, you get to go first, Irving. So you're hobbling across the street. You got your camera up.
And I am taking a picture of where I saw him disappear to, down into that little stoop.
Make me, what did we decide to use? Did we give you a camera skill?
I have knowledge photo.
Give me a knowledge photo roll.
I moved some skills around to make it appropriate because it fits for the thing. That is a D6. I'll take a 5.
And then, just to amuse me, make me a notice roll to accompany that.
That is also a 5.
All right, even better. All right, you take the photo, and you're essentially in the middle of the street at this point in time. You take that photo, and it flashes, and you see the creature has actually already started to climb up the surface of the building in areas that were shadows, but your flash exposes it in such a way, and you turn, or it turns and looks back at you after you take that initial photo, and it hisses at you again. And now make me a hearing-based notice roll.
Is that another 5? That's another 5.
All right, another 5. So you do that, and it hisses at you, and the flash, of course, it fades as quickly as it was there. But now you know where it is, and you've tuned your ears to it, and you can hear this scrabbling, scritching, scraping kind of noise as it sounds like it's going up the building in shadowed areas that you can't quite see. But then you hear off to your sides and behind you, you hear a few more hisses coming from various spots around you on the street.
That is not good.
You're standing there in the middle of the street, and this car goes in front of you and honks, kind of snapping your ears out of where you're hearing. And then you turn around, and you can see shapes kind of moving within shadows, and it looks like they're coming down the sides of nearby and surrounding buildings, and they're coming down, making moves like in your direction.
Now, if he had to make a quick guess how many shadows he sees in his frantic state, how do I need to roll anything, or do you want to give me some random number here, or?
Let's treat it as a potential multi-action. I can give you a random number out of that would be your panicked guess as to how many, or you can make a smarts roll to try and determine how many there are, but then any subsequent actions you take this round would be at -2.
Okay. Yes, I will make a smarts roll to get a count while I'll be backing down the street towards a light post of some sort. And I'm also going to draw my gun. So, smarts roll. Let's see, D8. Oh, I didn't roll a 5. A 6.
Not bad. You're thinking there are probably at least a half dozen.
He's pulling his gun out of his coat and he's pointing it at the ground at the moment, but he's backing up towards the the nearest light post so he can use it in case he gets jumped.
You can absolutely get yourself positioned there. Grace and Bam Bam, what are you two doing?
Knowing that Grace usually gets herself into troubles in places like this, Bam Bam has identified a problem and moved back to the bar, and he's made eyes at Grace just to keep her in sight in case something starts going down. He can intervene and be the muscle.
How gallant.
Hey, he's letting you work.
Well, I've been good. I haven't gotten into any trouble.
Yet.
Start making my way back around to the bar. Try to get his attention.
Oh, as soon as you look at me, I see you.
And just kind of try to get that non-verbal communication across a very loud room going with Bam Bam.
All right. On an odd, I was going to go ask Grace to dance just to talk. But I rolled even, so Bam Bam's still just dancing in the ring. He mimics your action confused.
I just kind of harumph a little bit and continue walking to the bar. I have no words for you right now, Bam Bam.
I have one.
What?
Sweetie. And I'll hand her a matchbook.
Okay, this wasn't meant to be a social thing here.
No, but possible client. Looks like he's been roughed up. Didn't know if it was anything.
Shoulders kind of slump just a little bit, knowing Bam Bam's propensity for damsels in distress.
Well, when you bounce in places like this, you look for signs.
Take the matchbook that he's handing me and I stick it in my purse. I keep wanting to put stuff in my pockets.
Did you find anything?
I think I did. Trixie does work here, but she's been missing for about a week. Missing, shifts and whatever. And nobody seems to know where she is. But Evie, as I kind of turn around and gesture back towards the table, so you can see who it is, gave me her address. So
Tommy downs the rest of his drink. Going now.
What time are we getting to be?
It's 8-ish.
Cover of darkness.
So you're saying there's more liquor on your horizon?
Just wanted to know what time it was. So kind of just give him a quick nod and
I'll offer my arm as we head to the coat check.
Oh, who says you're not a gentleman?
My mom.
All I could do is just kind of smile and shake my head at him as we go get our coats.
Well, my hat at least.
So the two of you get your accoutrement and head outside. You get in the cab, and you're beginning to ride in the direction of this apartment where Betty lives. Right about that time, you're just kind of looking around as the streets as they pass by, and you both realize that you're kind of in this general same area where you were just a couple of days ago in this south side of town, where all this stuff happened. You pass by a particular alleyway as you're going, and something catches your eye Grace, and you do a double take, and you realize that it is Irving, and he is running as best as he can, and it clearly looks like he is having his worst day ever.
Stop!
Okay.
And that was me yelling at the driver.
So the car honks at you, and you went and you took your photo. You saw what happened with these creatures. You went and pulled yourself back into the lamppost area. And while this is happening, Grace and the cab driver are having an argument in the car about stopping. And, hey, lady, no, I'm not stopping. You told me to go here. We're going to go here. And you're yelling at him. No, I told you.
We need to go back.
Yeah.
Just back the street a little bit.
But we're not.
Cut the block. Do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, but it's not anywhere even close to where you said you wanted me to go.
Listen to the lady, bub.
Oh, fine. And he whips this thing around.
Ah, thank you.
And he purposely cuts a harder turn, so you're kind of shaking in the back a little bit. And he comes back the other way.
Bam Bam shoulders me and my face scrunches up against the window. Jerk.
By this time, Irving has had to leave the cover of his street lamp, and you see him running down the street, and he cuts down a side alley. Clearly, he is having his worst day ever. And both of you in the car can make me a notice roll. And this is site-based for details. So whichever one of those 17 notice bonuses you have, Grace. So Grace, you see what looks to be like some strange, almost moving shadows on the exterior of some of these buildings as you're approaching. You thought at first maybe it's just like a play of light on the warped glass in the car window, but then you quickly move to a different angle and you realize, no, that's not it. There's something. You can't quite make it out, but there's something there, and it looks like it's moving in the direction of Irving. And you, Bam Bam, notice the same thing, but you can actually make out a bit more details. These look like humanoid figures of some sort, and they are crawling along the side of the outside of these buildings, and they definitely look like they're going towards Irving. So the cab driver shouts, he's like, all right, so where do you want me to stop?
Now! Pulled my gun out from wherever it was I was squirreling that away. Roll down the window. Yeah, as Brent says, out of my cleavage. My gun's a little bigger than that.
Ooh.
But I roll the window down. It's kind of like Wonder Woman's sword, that she carried in the back of her dress. It's kind of like that.
It's a rifle.
So
I'm kidding. It's not that big. But I roll down the window and try to take aim at one of the moving shadows to try. Is there anything that's close to Irving that I would want to make sure doesn't get to Irving?
If you're in a moving car firing a gun, I'd prefer you fired at the one that wasn't close to me, honestly.
But I've got steady hands.
Oh, okay.
You got a choice, we'll say, between 3, and they're all roughly about the same distance away.
Should we kick into initiative with Irving in the alley and us speeding towards them in a car?
Yes, we should. So let's do that.
And have I gotten the driver to turn down the alley, or am I just...
No, he has not reached the alley that he was cut down. He is approaching. He doesn't know if he needs to stop yet.
Can I yell him some instructions before we get into this? On
your action, you can absolutely take a free action
okay.
to do that, and then that won't penalize you on your action you're taking. Okay. All right. So, in one of them, Irving, is you dart into the alley. You hear a hiss, and you look up, and you see this thing coming right down, vertically, right down the wall, and it essentially is trying to jump right on top of you. He comes down, and he leaps. You hook a railing with your cane, basically, and pull yourself forward as he dives down, or he lands just right behind you. And you turn and look, and it is this... It's definitely, well, at one point it must have been human. You're not sure. but it is this large mouthful of teeth. Like I said, its eyes are yellow. It's very lean and sinewy, and its hands have kind of turned into claws, and you can see the stuff just dripping from its fangs.
He's a cutie.
Who's next? Queen of Diamonds. That looks like Tommy.
As we're speeding in the taxi towards, Tommy is reminded of a Young and Holt story that he recently read, where Holt was cornered in an alley and being attacked by things coming at him. And seeing a little more detail about these things, he mutters a short prayer under his breath. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord goes with me, and he will never leave or forsake me. And with that, he casts protection on himself at 3 points, so it will give him a +2 to his toughness, if I make that roll.
Oh, that definitely makes it.
So because that is a success with a raise, that grants me +4 toughness.
Wow. All right. That then brings us to Grace.
Tell the driver that he needs to pull down the alley on the left. That's the direction to go towards. Hopefully missing Irving as we kind of do a weird diagonal thing in the alley, because I'm not telling him this information probably as quickly as I should.
Yeah, you could totally lean out the window. There's this one that's in the street here. You probably do have a shot at it if you wanted to take it.
No, just lean out the window.
That's what I was kind of trying to determine where I was, what side of the car I was on in the back seat. So I will do that. And I do have steady hands. Where'd my sheets go?
So you don't have the unstable platform penalty, right?
Yes.
What's the range on your gun? This is your handgun, right? So I'm assuming this must be 12, 24, 48, I'm thinking?
It's a 12, 24, 48.
Cool. All right. So it's definitely within short range. So there's no penalty there. You've got the steady hands. So yeah, the car would be an unstable platform. So you don't have to worry about that. So right now you need a 4 to hit. That's much better. That is a hit with a raise. So not only do you get to do the damage, you get to do the damage with an additional D6.
So that would be 10.
All right, 10 points of damage. Okay. So can we say that you had to actually kind of open the car door slightly and are like hanging on to a handle inside, and you're standing up on the running board and shooting?
Oh, that's so much cooler than I was thinking. Yes.
So the car's driving forward. You essentially get out, take aim, take a shot. You see this thing in the street and you take a shot at it. You hit it. It rolls in the street a little bit. It almost like it comes up on its back, and its legs and hands are shaking, just kind of vibrating there, but it does not appear to be dead. The taxi cab driver, he like screams and he's like, "Lady, what the hell are you doing?" And he has to make a driving roll.
Of course, he doesn't see all this, does he?
Once you hit that creature, then he definitely sees that thing, and his eyes suddenly kind of begin to sharpen up a bit as he sees it. He loses control a little bit of the vehicle, and it begins to skid, and it kind of careens through here. It's nothing too bad.
Can you make what's the table? Do you choose a direction that it skids and roll a dice?
I think we could do a D12. Why don't we just do a D12 on that? We can do a clock.
In case he might actually hit one of the creatures.
That's a really good idea.
Or go crashing at Irving.
Yeah, let's make it an even 6.
That's 6, a pure stop, maybe.
Yeah.
Chicago Drift.
Since he knew he was getting ready to turn, the gunshot forces him to jerk harder with his turn, which causes him to skid, which causes him then to run over this one. And so there's this boom, boom, boom. Grace, you need to make me an athletics roll. So here's what happens. First of all, do you want to keep that?
Rerolling.
Oh.
Got any good cards in your hand?
No, not that are applicable.
Sometimes failure leads to nice drama.
That's right.
So here's what happens. So Grace steps out, takes the shot, hits the creature. It freaks out the cab driver. He overcompensates. The car skids, runs over the one that was in the middle of the street. But the bumping from that forces Grace to lose her grip, and she falls out of the car and rolls into the street. You take a level of fatigue, Grace, right now. So you're -1.
No more 3s for me.
Now they're all 2s.
Oh, shush. Irving.
So Irving, you pull yourself forward on this little railing. This creature drops down behind you and kind of stumbles a bit on itself. It turns to hiss at you, and as it's hissing, you see this car go skidding by the alleyway. After you hear a gunshot, and then you see it kind of thump over something, and then you see somebody who looks familiar kind of fall out of the car and kind of roll to a stop in the street not too far from you. And it is your turn.
First things first, when the gunshot comes out, Irving ducks because he thinks he's being shot at now. You know, he'll probably duck using whatever the thing he's hanging onto as kind of cover for a sec before he realizes what happens. And he just sort of stares at this weird car go sliding by and someone come tumbling out. Is that Grace? What is she doing here?
Saving your butt.
And then the thing that crashed to the ground next to me, Irving's gonna haul up his cane and just bash it on the back of the head.
Cool, that's a really good roll.
That's a very good roll. That's a 16.
That is definitely a hit with a raise.
15 damage.
Nice.
15. All right. So tell me how you take this creature out.
So I guess what actually happens is his cane's still up, hooked on that that small balcony, maybe of the window. There's like a window right there, and he's hooked on it. And the thing drops, and he slides the cane up, and it hooks on a flower pot, and he just slams it down on top of the creature with the cane, and it just shatters right on top of its head.
Nice. He is most definitely out of commission. All right. Well, heck, I think I'm going to go first because I can. This one here.
Be gentle.
I don't think he's going to attack you, Grace. He's coming across the street, but you haven't done anything to him. So you're kind of shaking your head coming to, and you see this. It's almost it's like he's running on all fours, and he leaps over you and comes right up next to you, Irving. And he's going to attempt to attack you. This one here finishes his descent, drops down into the alleyway. This one makes his way across, down the rest of the building. And this one does the same thing. Gets down there as well. So we just have the one attacking you. What's your parry, Irving?
6. That
is going to be a miss, and I don't think I'm going to re-roll that yet. Oh, no, wait, I got a +2, so I did hit you.
What?
That is a 6. That's right, because I got a joker.
Oh, that's right.
That is him. Yeah, okay. And it's horrible damage,
yes!
But we're going to... you know what? I'm gonna spend a penny and I will re-roll this damage. So let's do that again. All right, so 7 to 9 points of damage coming at you. What is your toughness?
4.
4. That's a shaken in a wound.
Can I soak?
You absolutely can. That's all you needed. He leaps across Grace, and he lands almost right next to where the other one has had the busted flower pot on there. And then he leaps at you again, and he's leading with his claws and his teeth. You just move just out of the way as he comes by, and you just hear this, and you feel this hot breath and these droplets of spit on your face as he leaps by and lands right there. And he turns and spins and hisses at you once more. And Grace, it is your turn.
Okay.
You've got one who's going across the street. He's probably maybe only a couple of feet away from you. And to your other side, you can see another one trying to converge on Irving as well.
Being a little self-serving at the moment, because the one that's like right above me is the one that I want to target.
This guy right here.
I'm going to shoot.
Are you just going to basically just kind of sit from your position you're in and then shoot?
Yeah, just get as upright as I can and take a shot at him.
That's awesome. A 5, that is going to hit.
Awesome. That would be an 8.
8. All right, nicely done. Okay, so you hit him, And much like the first one that you shot, you pull the trigger, you just kind of pop up, pull the trigger, you catch it right in its shoulder, and it rolls over on the ground, almost doing like a sideways somersault. And it comes up and it grabs its shoulder with its opposite hand, and it turns at you, and its eyes just pop really yellow, and they glow, and it hisses at you, and you can make me a fear check, which is just a straight up spirit roll. 4. This vision of this warped looking human kind of catches you off guard for a minute, but then you find that inner strength basically, and you just reject the fear that's trying to creep up inside of you, and you keep your gun pointed at it. And then we go to, who's that next?
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
And that brings us to Bam Bam, who's still in the car.
Take your time, Bam Bam.
The car door slowly opens. Bam Bam steps out, undoes the button on his suit coat, steps on the ghoul that has been run over by the taxi, and approaches the one that's on Grace and just does a 1-2 punch right into its back and the back of its head. So this is going to be multi-action, so I'll do this twice, -2 on both. Actually, I've got a level of fatigue. This will be -3.
Jeez, you are on fire. And so that's your first fighting roll?
That's my first fighting, and I'm going to burn a Benny to re-roll that damage.
And that's a hit with a raise, by the way, so you get an additional D6. Oh my gosh.
So much better.
That's so much better.
And now for the second hit. Another 8 damage.
Then with the fighting roll of a 4?
Yes.
Okay, and that second strike is a miss, actually.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, yes.
Okay. So finish the dramatic telling as you come out and do the 1-2 punch, and of which only one hits. But how does this whole thing finish as this guy goes into his long sleep?
So, stepping up, taking that first swing, he just hears bones crack in this thing's neck as it hits it square in the spine, and it drops faster than he thinks it should. So his second swing is just this nice little right over the thing's head as it's falling, slumped at Grace's feet. And he just gives her a wink as she's now pointing a gun directly at him. Let's not do this again.
She takes a deep breath and just, tries to clear her mind, realizing that no, she doesn't have to pull the trigger again that direction.
Nice. And let's end up this round here with you, Irving.
Irving is going to use his kung fu to do a smarts check against the ghoul as he hooks his cane back up and brushes all that snow up off the railing that you got the flower pot from to fall down in front of him and distract him. And then he's going to hopefully, I believe it leaves him vulnerable if if he doesn't pass the smarts check.
Oh, so you're doing like a test against him?
Yes, that's it, a test, a fighting check then, and it's opposed by agility. 6.
And we tied.
I have to win, so I'm going to guess that's not a win, so it doesn't work.
All right, so you were essentially attempting to distract him with a fighting move sort of thing?
Yes. It was sort of a brush it off to spin to get him like ducking and distracted so that I could follow it up afterwards. In other words, now I'm just going to do a regular fighting check to hit him.
And would this be a -2? Because is that essentially, it's not a multi-action?
No. One of my edges is the Kung Fu. I can perform a test as a free multi-action, essentially.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, cool.
So I'm down with just a straight fighting roll, which is, I believe, D8. It is 7.
7, that is going to hit. There we go. Oh boy. Jeez.
Okay, so what happens is he swipes knock the snow down. As it's coming down, the ghoul just ignores it entirely and jumps at him. And Irving has his back turned and he just ducks, like grabbing his hat as he squats down. And a ghoul goes right over him, and as he does, he shoves the cane up right underneath his chin and just sends him back over.
Nice. He goes back over, and then he just drops to the floor, or to the ground. Definitely lifeless.
And you have to like reshuffle now, right?
I do have to reshuffle.
Oh, is that me again?
It is you again, actually. I'm last this round.
Okay. Irving will just will stride over the fallen corpse of his that comrade there, and then he's just going to take a stance and just whack at the guy in front of him. 5.
That will just hit.
All right.
Jeez.
It's not the D8 that's adding all this in. It's the D6s.
It's D6s. That is crazy.
So Irving strides over. He lines him up. And this time it's a jab that just it slams him in the chest with enough force to hear that crack and sends him over the lip down that basement stairway that what there was hiding there, and sends him crashing down into the lower part there.
And he just crumbles in a little heap down there and doesn't move anymore. Which brings us into Bam Bam.
Bam Bam gives a knowing nod to Grace and walks by her to the one that he can see behind her that she can't. And 1, 2.
As you approach him, make a fear check as well, please, Tommy.
I think it's the first one you've seen face to face. Maybe you won't be striding right up to him.
And that's going to be Spirit.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But does that include your -1, or we got him?
Oh, actually, nope. That's going to be a 4.
Which is still
-1 on that.
Which is still a success. It sees you coming, and it kind of pops and flexes its muscles under its tight skin, and it hisses at you, and it gets ready to crouch to engage you, but you are not intimidated by its moves. But it looks like your first fighting shot missed, though.
Yeah, I'm going to spend a Benny.
Okay. Oof.
Oh. Okay, I'm going to spend another Benny.
All right. Yep, still a miss. Okay. Yeah, further your damage. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm going to spend my last Benny.
Here comes the 2.
Oh my gosh.
What did you roll on all these?
Oh.
2s and 3s at -2s and 3s.
Not very well.
All right, so my first hit just goes wide. Maybe I'm setting him up for my second hit.
He just dodges out of the way of that one, and you see his grin begin to grow on his mouth.
And my second one's probably a miss.
If it's a 4, yes, it misses by 1.
Tommy wades by Grace, approaches this thing. It glowers at him, and it unnerves him enough. Tommy shakes it off, does a 1-2 punch into this thing, and looks at it as it has no effect.
It smiles, and its teeth just seem to gleam in the street light as it hits, and you can see there's just this spit just dripping off of it. But Grace, you get to go before they do.
I tracked Bam Bam as he walked by me and then saw that thing. So can I get to my feet?
Oh, absolutely.
Because at this point I've been sitting because I've been the other direction. So stand and physically turn to orient myself on this guy, raise my gun, and shoot at it because that's all I can do.
That is, nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so that would be a 6 because I still have fatigue.
Yep, and that is a hit.
All right. Okay, so 8.
Yeah, you track as Bam Bam goes past you, and you see this thing just not affected as he just hammers into it twice. It opens up its mouth, and you see its jaws and everything, and you just take aim, you take a shot, and it spins it where it's standing, and it makes it go back a touch as it kind of scrambles, and then it looks up and it looks at the two of you, and you can see there's something oozing from its shoulder where you hit this one again, but it does not go down. However, it is shaken. And now it's its turn. As it is recovering and getting ready, or I'm going to unshake here in a moment. But Irving, you can hear some more hissing, and you look around and you see in the snow as it's falling some swirls of snow that seem almost as if they're kicked up by wind, but there is no breeze as it's coming down, and out of the shadows more of these things plop down from the building right next to you. And Grace, you hear something behind you as the echo of the gunshot kind of fades, and you look over your shoulder and you see a couple more drop down as well. And Bam Bam, you're concentrating on the one in front of you that just got hit by Grace, and you hear this thump land on the hood of the car behind you, and you do a quick glance over your shoulder, and there's one just crouched there ready to go. And you all feel a bit unnerved by this, and a sense of dread kind of fills you as you feel this fight has suddenly become very serious. And this is the Let's Settle This card. So play the beginning of a combat round with no jokers, or I'm playing it on their turn, technically. No character can soak wounds until another joker is drawn. So all these other creatures just drop down and scramble off of the building out of the shadows and jump down next to you, and they turn and look at you, and the three of you look at each other, and you get this sense that this fight all of a sudden has become very serious, thus the Let's Settle This card, and we fade to black.
And now, some wondrous words of wisdom about products to make your life better.
Prohibition will soon be at an end, and when that new year rolls around, you'll want to celebrate in style. And we can think of no better way than with a tasty glass of Smilin' Jack. Smilin' Jack gin is the drink of choice of the captious connoisseur. Made from the finest botanicals and aged just right, Smilin' Jack gin is the perfect companion to turn that savage day into a blissful night. And should you decide to put a little swing into your sunset, don't be distracted by other spirits that prey on the vulnerable. Choose the gin that separates you from the crowd. Choose the gin that turns you into the evening's wild card. Choose Smilin' Jack.
There's nothing like a fade to black to make you scoot to the end of your seat as the nerves grip your stomach like a vice. Hopefully, they can get everything sorted out neater than the county clerk's paperwork. Alright, that's enough for now. So shake a leg till next time. But just so we're clear, the part of Grace Gunn was played by Jill Rich, Irving Holt is played by Brad Smith, Tommy Bam Bam Prue was played by Brent Rich, and the boss in charge of this clip joint is Chris Hussey. I'm E.I. Wick, and remember, taking a wooden nickel is less trouble than a ghost rock dime.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Hexaco Mystery Radio Hour. This game references the Savage Worlds game system, available from Pinnacle Entertainment Group at peginc.com. It is unofficial media content permitted under the Media Network Content Agreement. This content is not managed, approved, or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Certain portions of the materials used are the intellectual property of Pinnacle, and all rights are reserved. Savage Worlds, all related settings, and unique characters, locations, logos, and trademarks are copyrights of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Leaving a 5-star review of this podcast not only helps everyone here at the Hexaco Mystery Radio Hour, it's also your civic duty. When doing so, please search for Fear the Boot Actual Play. Hexaco wants to remind you to make your car run like magic and always use great Hexaco products. Until next time, I'm Silver Sterling, reminding you to always keep one eye on the shadows.